Hello everybody and welcome to a very special and exciting episode for me of Hangar Control, where we are going to try to do our first full bind with DCS World and using one of my favorite aircrafts of all time, the F4U Corsair. I hope you guys enjoy this little tutorial demo video as the release of the DCS integration is getting ready to come out. So stay tuned for more, and I hope you enjoy the video. One app designed to do it all. Hangar Control brings everything together. Control bindings, hardware configuration, mod and profile management, application launching, add-ons, config files, and more, all managed from a single application. Mods Hangar goes beyond just mods and add-ons. It manages profiles, config files, text files, backups, snapshots, and helps keep your community folders clean and organized. Application Hangar launches your entire sim stack with a single click. Your Stream Decks are fully controlled through the Hangar Control plugin, while all of your other Stream Deck plugins remain active and available. Built by a simmer for simmers, Hangar Control adds new features and hardware support every week based on community feedback. It's a one-time purchase with lifetime updates, no subscriptions. You can try it for free for 5 days with no restrictions at overkillsimulations.com. Just create an account, head to your account page, download the latest version, and get started. And if you're looking for in-depth Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft tutorials, check out my Patreon site. Links to Hangar Control and Patreon are down in the description below. Alright folks, so as I said, this is one of my favorite aircraft of all time. The F4 has always just been a gorgeous plane to me. So we're going to go into Hangar Control and we're going to try this out. I am intentionally using a limited number of controls. I've got my what's this damn thing called? AB6 that we're going to be using with my Bravo throttle quadrant. I've also got some road air encoders in case we need anything for an encoder. But we're going to keep it pretty simple. And then, of course, my rotor pedals, but that's about it. So let's go ahead and do a couple things. I need to get Hangar Control off the screen for a second. And we're going to come in here. And we need to go into our controls. You can tell I was trying to remember how to turn off the damn labels. And what I'm going to do is, because of this aircraft, I'm going to clear the category. And you can do this. You can actually, here, we can do clear all. But let's just make sure we only select the F4U. This is actually a bit faster way to do it. Come over to our keyboard, restore default categories. We're also going to do the same with the mouse and track IR. Again, let me get Hangar Control out of my way. Reset to default, yes. Track IR, reset to default, yes. Go to the axis assign, same thing for mouse and track IR. We want to reset those back to default, as I covered it. I have Hangar Control set to always on top, and sometimes always on top drives me nuts. I'm not going to lie, and I'm the one who put it in there. Okay, so there we go. There's that. Now we're going to hit OK. All right, folks. So now that we are all set, we have our control bindings cleared in DCS World. Let's go ahead and set it up in Hangar Control. And one of the really nice things right off the bat about Hangar Control is you don't have to keep bouncing back and forth between menus. The other thing you're going to see here is you're going to see a sequence. We're going to make one switch, do multiple actions, and we're probably going to see that more than once in this particular binding. Now, I'm not going to bind everything in the aircraft. What I'm looking for here is get the aircraft started, your basic flight controls, engine management, things like that, and just enough to go fly around. This has been one of my favorite aircraft of all time, and the day that it launched in DCS World, I purchased it. I got into it, I got to fly for about 10 minutes, and then it was time to get back to work, and I haven't touched it since, and that was the day it was released. So I'm super excited to actually be able to start diving into this. So thank goodness for Hangar Control forcing me in that situation, because I'm grateful for that. All right, so let's get into control bindings, and we're just going to... first, I already have my DCS World profile from previous testing you can see on the Huey, so let me show you guys how we do this. You would go to Add, and what you're going to get is you're going to get a window that looks like this. You want to make sure Hangar name, you can title whatever you want. But if you're going to DCS World, you want to make sure the simulator type is DCS World. That is critical. Okay, it is critical that you have that. All right, we're going to hit save. And then now we're going to add a new profile. And of course, this one is Corsair. And now we're going to come over here, choose devices, and select our devices. I'm going to keep this one relatively minimal because that puts me in a position where I can show you guys more stuff. So we're going to use the Bravo. We're going to use the Moza as our flight stick. We'll bring the road air encoders. I don't know if we'll need an encoder for this particular video, and we're going to be using my R1 Falcon pedals, as those are the ones that are currently under my desk, which are fantastic, by the way, from Virpil. And we're going to hit save. And now we're going to start service. This way, once you start the service, whatever control bindings we bind, we'll actually get to see fire. And we're going to come down here. I've done my research on the aircraft. And we're going to click on down in here. And we're going to start with our wing lock, our wing spread, and then relock it. So we're going to start out with a sequence, taking one switch, one button, whatever it may be, and having it fire multiple actions with a set timed interval. So let's go into the Bravo. Let's use this guy right here. It's far right, should be out of the way. And you can really use, honestly, whatever you want. That's the beauty of it. Oh, excuse me, I had to yawn. Been a long day. Single press is fine. We're going to come down. We're going to change single action, though, to sequence. And we're going to add a step. This is going to be our first step. DCS command is our reference, and you're going to see that a lot. And we're going to go to edit. Up here, we're going to select our aircraft. And this is the current library that is available in Hangar Control. This is a time-consuming process, but this library will be growing day by day, and with each patch until hopefully I get all the available aircraft ironed out. At least, hopefully, I'm hoping for 100% compatibility, but at the very least in the high 90s of controls being available. So we're going to go to F4U, and here we are. We start out with the wing spread. How nice is that? So, first thing that we need to do, the wings are in the locked position, so we need to unlock them. So we're going to go to highlight wings unlock. We're going to hit OK. Now I normally put, you can do a couple of different things here. You don't need a delay. If you ever notice that DCS is not registering a command quite fast enough, let's say, and this does happen with Lua writing sometimes. It's rare, but on occasion it can happen. What you can do is add a hold for X amount of milliseconds. Keep in mind 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. Okay, so you typically won't need much more than 100 milliseconds, maybe 200 milliseconds. So 0.2 of a second longer sometimes to make a command actually fire. It's rare, but I have seen it before in the past. Now, that was back in the days of RS Mapper. So, I mean, that was years ago now, but I'm sure it's been resolved. But just throwing that out there. Next, we're going to add our next step. And which, again, DCS command, add, and we want wings spread. Now, the delay is how long am I going to wait before I fire this action? Okay, so it's kind of a right to left kind of thing. Okay, and then how long do I want to maintain that action? All right, so what we're going to do here is just leave that sort of as is. It should be fine. Again, we're going to see, and if we have to adjust the timing, we will. Now, I'm going to give you a tip. DCS technically does not care when you relock the wings. Okay, so this is just to show it, but I have noticed in testing this that DCS doesn't care. The wings can still be mid-action, and if you pull the lock lever up when you go to start the engines and everything, it doesn't care. You don't get the warning alarm. Okay, if they are unlocked, you'll get the warning alarm, but as long as the lever's up, it doesn't seem to give a crap. But for sake of demonstration, we're going to add a 35-second delay from the time that it unlocks to the time that it locks again. And we're also going to actually add a little bit of a delay between these two actions. Let's put that to 300 just to make sure it completes without issues. Again, so we're not even at half a second yet between all these. So let's go to add step, DCS command, edit once again, and this will be wing lock. And again, once this completes, I'm going to give it another 300 milliseconds just to make sure. But what we want here, though, excuse me, I just realized what I want here. I'm sorry, that's not true. I want this to be 35,000 milliseconds because we want, the idea is if we're keeping this realistic is we want the wings to be fully down before the lock handle comes back up, right? So we're going to give that a 35-second timer. So let's go ahead and set that. And then let's go ahead and hit the reverse. Now, we're not going to be able to hit the reverse until the wing or until the engines are started. So actually, we'll wait. Maybe we'll come back to that one. So let's hit OK, and let's begin our process. So here we go. Here's the switch coming up. I have noticed that for whatever reason, that doesn't trigger. It's so weird. It's just the wing unlock. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work for crap. So, what we could do if we wanted to test that is we could actually do this. Let's try one more thing just so I can show you guys how to do some testing. I'm not really too concerned about something like that, and that's been the only thing I've had any issues with, just for the record. But let's see if we can adjust it. So let's go back to choose slot. Let's just go to back for a second. Go back into Blue Coalition. Go back into our F4U, so that way the wings are back up again. And let's see if we can't make that work a bit better. So we're going to come down here, zoom in again. The wings are in the locked position when the handle's up. That's unlocked. This is locked. Okay. So let's come in here, back in again. Let's edit this. Let's hold this for a second. Okay. Let's take this and let's turn it into a 200 millisecond hold. And see if we can't get a better reaction out of this. So we're going to hit save and see what we get this time. There we go. And now we'll wait 35 seconds or so. And ideally what you would want, if you wanted to go full realism here, is the wings would need to be level. And you would wait for the wing tab to come down. This is this gray tab right here that will come down and fill in this hole perfectly flush with the wing. And when that happens, at that point in real world operation is when you would pull the wing lock. Let's keep monitoring it. Wait for that 35-second timer. Boom, there it goes. Okay, so that's how a sequence works. Pretty cool, right? So you can see now that wing tab is coming down. And so again, once that was flat with the wing is usually when you would actually pull that. Let's move forward. We'll just keep moving up the console here. Now we're going to work on some access. We're going to do our throttle. We're going to do our propeller governor, our supercharger, our mixture handle. We'll adjust the gear brake and then the air brakes as well. I'll show you guys something really cool with the air brake where we take an axis and we're going to basically turn it into buttons. So let's get on that. So going back into our Bravo for a second. And let's get into the axis. Let's just start with the throttle. This gets real easy right out of the gate. We're going to go add. Again, change your method to DCS command. Go to browse first. Find your aircraft. F4U. And we want throttle lever. Hit OK. Use axis. We're not doing anything custom. This is if you want to do something custom with the axis. The documentation goes through all of this. Hit OK. And hit save. Now when we move our throttle, now notice it's inverted, but we're getting that full range of motion. So let's fix the inversion. And this should look very familiar to all you DCS pilots. If we go to Axis Tune, look familiar? In all the games and simulators I have ever used and played, I think DCS has or Eagle Dynamics in general, but DCS has had the best Axis Tune window that is the easiest to understand. So I did my best to mirror it, of course, with the Hangar Control differences, but absolutely it was always my favorite. It just made sense looking at it. So we're going to invert, hit save, and you can see it already took care of it. All right, so now we move that throttle. Boom, we're good to go. Let's move to the next one. Add, DCS command, browse. F4.1 is already selected. Propeller governor. Hit OK. Use axis, not doing anything custom. Hit OK and save. Check it. There it is. That actually works out perfectly. That's the direction we want that one to go. Next one, the supercharger. Command, browse, supercharger handle. Hit OK. Use axis. OK. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have to invert this guy, so I'm actually just going to get ahead of it. Axis tune, invert, hit OK, and save. And there it is. Next, our mixture. Add. DCS. Mixture handle. Okay. Use axis. Save. Let's check it. Perfect. Just the way we want it, right? And now let's get in, take care of our landing gear handle. So we're going to go back to buttons and LEDs here. Gear up. So now we're in the unified binding window. We're going to keep it as a single action, but we're going to go to DCS command, browse, and we're just going to type gear. Gear up. I do recommend that you check whatever switch that you're doing. If you accidentally fire the gear up while this aircraft is on the ground, the wheels will fold up. Don't ask how I know that. I'm sure you can put it together. That was an oops. So now let's go to the gear down position. DCS command, browse, gear down. Boom. Save. All right. And then next we're going to deal with the dive brake. So we're going to go back to our axis. Now I'm going to skip an axis because I don't want to accidentally go to pull the dive brakes off and bump or pull the mixture by mistake. That would be bad. You'll kill your engine. And if history matches what I have read, then this aircraft falls like a rock if without power. So anyway, keyboard, and we're going to do something different here. DCS command, we're not going to use axis, but we are going to come over here and use between. So now we're going to segment the axis. We're going to break this axis up between 0 and 100%. You have that full range. You can break it up however the hell you want and add a command within that range. So 0 to, let's make that 50%. You can make it, again, whatever you want. You can put gaps if you want, if it makes you feel safer, or if you're trying to spread things out. Makes it real easy. And we're going to go back to browse. And here we're going to just start searching for brake. Nope, I'm in the wrong commands. There we go. Air brake, let me think about it. We're in the 0 range. Air brake down is what we're looking for. We may have to invert this later, but we won't know until we're airborne. And then we're going to go to add, between, and this time we're going to do, I don't know, let's do 55 to 100. I could do 51 and it wouldn't care. And we'll go DCS command. And what am I looking for? Browse. Brake. This will be brakes up. So you got your air brake down, air brake up. And so now, when the gear handle is showing in the up position, how the air brakes work is they push that lever, it comes over the gate and allows them to put the, they're called dive brakes, but puts the brakes up, or spoilers is kind of what they look most similar to for those who don't know. And it slows the aircraft down during a dive and keeps it from going into a compressibility lock. So anyway, theoretically. So now we can hit OK. That's done. Now let's see. What do we have next? We're going to have probably our magnetos. So let's see if I can remember how to set my camera view. There we go. So magnetos are a little different. They're a little weird in this aircraft. But let's find a switch. We can do a switch or we can do a button. It really just depends. Actually, let me show you guys. Let's use... I wouldn't normally ever keep it like this. Well, no. Let's just use a damn switch. Never mind. Disregard. We'll show you that on another operation. So let's go to DCS command. And I got to think about how I want to do this. So we're going to go to browse. And they are under magnetos. And here they are. Ignition increase. You can see it says magnets. And so we want increase, but if we just do increase by itself and I hit the up switch, where did I put that damn thing? There it is. It only goes up by 1 and you would have to keep rocking the switch. Okay. So let's bring that down. Let me show you how we do this. So one of the cool things you can do is you can tell it how many steps you want it to move. So we're going to set that to 3. We're going to hit save. And now we go all the way over. But what I have noticed is there seems to be an issue coming back the other direction. And actually, I just thought about that. No, I don't think that is the issue. So 1 would be fully on. I think I know. I think I just answered my own question on how we're going to do this. If I come back here and I go to DCS command, let's find magnetos again. And if I'm right, it's actually -1 that we're looking for. Let's see if I'm right about this. Boom. And so even though I said 3, I'm willing to bet 1 is the actual value because we're dealing with luas. Now let me try one more thing just while I got you guys here just for fun. If we do 0.5, I'm kind of curious what that does. Boom, that's exactly what it is. So for those of you who are with Microsoft Flight Simulator, you're probably used to those kind of values, but you're not probably used to the decimals. We're a Microsoft Flight Simulator to give you guys some comparison. We have similar things called SimConnect for those who don't fly Microsoft Flight Simulator, where SimConnect is sort of what I was trying to build here. And you have your different commands and they each have a value. And based on the number of positions, like a magneto here would probably have 4 or 5 positions. And so when we were doing increased magneto, we would do 1, 2, 3, or 4 to set the position. DCS works a little bit differently. It works in -1 and 1. Okay, so when you want to find those incremental positions, you're going to do them in decimals. Okay, like you just saw me do here. And that was a test that I literally just figured out. I knew it was already the case with certain axes and things like that, but now I've also figured out with rotaries and things like this. So in this particular situation, if you wanted to increment by a small amount, you could take this down to, say, 2. 0.2, and if we flip that back off, we should only get to the right position on this one. There it is. Okay, so it really just depends on what you're going for. Now, because I actually want the full magneto here, I'm going to change that back to a 1, and now get it back over. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. So anytime you think of it, you can still think in terms of 100, but just think of in decimal. Your 100% is the number 1. Your off is either 0 or -1, depending on the item that you're trying to mess with. Okay, so there's that. Let's keep moving. Flaps. Flaps is another really weird one, the way that this particular aircraft mapped it out. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to find our flap switch. And this is going to be flaps up, so we want flaps retract, right? So in the DCS command, we're going to go to browse. We're going to do flaps, and we want flaps decrease under that. We're just going to bind the two, and I'm going to show you guys what happens. Oh, wrong button. Just like with anything else, there is a little bit of a learning curve, but you guys will get it, I have no doubt. So now when we hit our flap switch, actually, that worked perfectly fine that time, ironically enough. That's weird. Huh. I wonder if I actually had it dual bound before. So in my testing, what I had noticed before, and it was really odd, and even then I thought it was odd and couldn't quite pin what was happening. But I would click, just do the flaps down, and it went down to full flaps. Flaps up was, full flaps up. I wasn't getting the increments. But never mind. Now it's working perfectly fine, so I'm going to shut up and just keep moving on. We're going to forget that ever took place. But if you run into things like that, again, that's where those decimal points come into play. That's what I had to do with the flaps, was the decimals. I do that every single time I pan my camera around here. And there we go. Okay, so now let's just keep moving here. We're going to go back to some axis here. Let's deal with our wheel brakes, our rudders, and our flight stick. So in that case, we're going to leave the Bravo for the time being, and we're going to move over to our Moza. Now, in almost all flight sticks, your X is going to be your ailerons, your Y is going to be your elevators. In almost every single flight stick, I can't think of one where that's not the case. Let me put it that way. X is usually always your lateral, Y is your vertical. All right, so anyway, let's go on the X. We're going to go bind. We're going to go DCS command. We're going to go browse. Now, the cool thing is that on all the research that I can do, when it comes to pitch, roll, rudder, throttle, I think even collective, throttle 1 and 2, they are going to be the exact same binding across all aircraft. My understanding is that in DCS World, all of them use the exact same binding. So, but that's just for those commands, okay? Anything else can be different, especially when it comes to third-party aircraft. So we're going to do roll. We're going to hit OK, use that axis range again. Hit yes, hit save. Go to our bind, add. This is on the y-axis. DCS, browse, pitch. Use axis, save, OK. And okay, and you guys can see that it's nice and sensitive. I mean, if I barely touch that bad boy, we're wiggling. Okay, so fantastic stuff. So done with this guy for now. And by the way, I did notice that the axis tune is not showing for DCS commands in here. I will be addressing that before the release. If you guys are curious what the hell I'm talking about, it is, for example, in here you can see that it's working. And that's because the Bravo acts on its own config. Just for the record, so why we're seeing one, I didn't add it to the main panels yet. So anyway, and that's just for DCS. For Microsoft Flight Simulator, everything else, it shows you what you're bound to. Where am I going here? Now we're going to go to the Virpil, get our rudder pedals set up. Let's go to bind, add, and I'm going to speed things up a bit. You guys are sort of catching the gist here. Here's our rudder. Use axis, save. Now, noticed that's my left foot pressed in, so they're inverted. So axis tune, invert, go, go. There we go. Now we got proper axis. Now let's get the brake set up, add. And here we're just going to go brake, left brake. That one, yep. Right brake. I believe the brakes work fine. They do indeed. Perfect. All right, moving on. So now coming back over to the right side. Now we have our cowl flaps, intercoolers, and things like that. I haven't decided how I want to bind those yet, so for the moment we'll just move on to the good stuff of starting the engines and stuff. We are going to get there. That's a must, especially when this aircraft's on the ground. At the very least, the cowl flaps are going to be critical. So let's see here. Now let's go back to our Bravo. And what the hell did we bind that to? That's our magnetos, right? Yeah. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to do battery. So super simple. Browse. Battery on. Scrolling down. Battery off. Perfect. And the next one will be our fuel pump. Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. I don't need to fire that again. I flipped that switch on accident, bumped it with my hand. Which actually I should think about, because if I ever do that in flight, then we're really going to have a problem. Once I bind that. Maybe I won't bind that. Maybe we'll keep that one manual. I don't know. Boy, that'd be terrible. Next, the fuel pump. And what am I looking for? DCS command. That's what we're looking for. And fuel pump on. Next one again, fuel pump off. Done. All right, next one is going to be the primer. Now, the primer has a single command. I'm going to show you guys what will happen. This could be a gotcha if you're not ready for it. So if we look for the primer only has one line, no on, no off. And that's because technically it's a momentary switch. You can see there, momentary. So it's not meant to stay on. But let me show you what happens when we bind it. So if we do this, and we hit save, and I flip that switch, wrong switch, and I turn it back off, nothing happens. There's two ways we can handle this, okay? And it'll be the same thing if you put it on a push button, like if you use one of these buttons or any kind of a momentary switch that you have yourself. You're going to have to do something a little different than you might be used to when it comes to Lua and third-party softwares like this. So you can do two different things. You can do a add press and add a release option, or in our case, we have a down switch, which we're going to do that. So whether you chose to add, you could add it. Just hit add, boom, tells you. And both of these actions will perform. We're not going to do that. We're going to do a just use the down switch. But let me show you how we're going to do that and force the switch back down. Because this is how Lua works. This is what it's expecting. We're going to go to Browse. Go back to our primer. Now, we're going to highlight it, but we're going to do one more thing. Now, remember what I told you. -1 to 1 and 0 and 1. 0 off. So we're going to put a 0 in the value. Hit OK. Hit save. And now when we do it, there's primer on. There's your primer back off. Okay? So, now let's come back up here. And it's time for our starter. Now for the starter, I'm going to use another sequence, which I better select, otherwise it's not going to happen. So we're going to use another sequence. And by the way, step is the same thing as a sequence, but you control the action when it happens. Sequence is, as you guys saw earlier, one button, you flip it, it runs through its timers and completes the action string. Sequence or a step is every time you push the button, it moves to the next line. So like sequence, we had our line of actions here for the wing fold. If I wanted to do that with a step, I would push it once, it would have unlocked it. I push it again, it would have folded the wings down. I push it again, it would have locked the wings again. Okay, so that's the difference between sequence and steps. Other than that, the binding is the exact same. So now we're going to go to add step for our sequence. You guys have seen this part before. And we're going to go to edit. And this one we're going to look for starter. And we want starter cover open. Okay. Next we're going to add another step. DCS command, edit, starter. And we're just going to leave that just like that. Okay. Now on the downside, we're going to reverse this. So we're going to go to, oh, I almost did it again. Sequence, add step, DCS command. We're going to edit, starter. Now we're going to hit the starter. We're going to set that to 0. Okay, I want to turn it off now. And we're going to add step, DCS command, go to edit. And we want the starter cover close. And that should be enough to make that work. So let's find out. Let's see here. That's 1, 2. That's that one. There's that. Then we flip it down. Boom. That's simple, right? So really cool stuff. Makes it nice and easy. The other thing that I want to show you guys real quick. I'm not actually going to buy anything, but I do want to show you. I think we talked about it earlier. But is the... If we do this, oh, gotta stop doing that. The hold, if you want to do something, hold it for a specific amount of time, the same thing would happen. Okay, it would hold that position, and then once it let go, it should clear the binding and automatically set it back down to 0. Okay, I think that's it. I think we're at least ready for engine start. I'm gonna get Hangar Control out of the way for a second so I can look around. We've got our cow flaps. Oh, how do I want to do this? I've got a plethora of buttons, and I mean, I guess the nice part is that this aircraft doesn't have a ton, you know what I mean? There's the fuel selector. We'll do that with the old mouse for today. Let's get the cow flaps at the very least on a switch and see what happens here. So I actually haven't played with this one yet, so let's see what we have to do to make this work. So we're going to go to our AB6. Let's find a button that will work for our cow flaps in this particular bird. Something that's out of the way. Well, you know what? We have these. I didn't even think about that. Let's see if the cow flaps are on an axis, shall we? Let's go. All right, add. DCS command, browse. I think I actually saw them in here. Maybe not. Oh, that's a shame. That would have been cool. Well, let's still try something. I think we're still going to have some fun with this. Let me see what I can do here. So let's go to our commands. And we're going to look for cowl. Cowl flaps open. Let's see how we want to do this. We're going to do between. And we're going to do it between 80 and 100. And I have no idea if this is going to work. I haven't even tried this yet. So here we go. Seems to be working. But it doesn't let go on the way down. Or did it? No, it did not. Okay. So then, which one was that? That was this one. So then what we're going to do is... Actually, I know exactly how we're going to do this. This will be a little bit trickier because we're putting it on an axis. So we're going to go add. And we're going to go between 20 and 80. It's a really large range, but I mean, I really don't need much. DCS command, browse. And we're going to do cowl. Oh, what am I on? That's why. Zero to reset them. Oh, I gotta save it. There we go. So that puts that right back down there. And actually we could reduce that range a little bit. That way we can do it on the other side. So let's set this to, say, 40. And then we're going to just do the same thing for the other side. So now we're going to speed this up a little bit. So now from 0 to 20, we're going to go DCS command. And you guys will get really fast with this. And go to commands, cowl. Cowl flaps close. Hit OK. Add. We're going to go between. This is going to be between 20 and 40. So that's where we stopped the other one. DCS command, browse, and let's do it again. Keep doing that. Cowl flaps close, 0. So now, there's cowl flaps open. Okay, everything's closed. There's cowl flaps closing. Back up. Pretty cool, huh? Anyway. And then, I mean, you could do the same thing with the intercoolers, all kinds of cool stuff. Actually, that probably would have been a better one to do with that, too. Anyway, you guys get the gist. Let's go ahead and start this thing now. Let's see all of this in action. We already saw the wing fold, but let's see the rest of it come together here. So here we go. Oh, is it 5? Yes. Gosh, I don't know how I still remember that. Although, that's really high up. All right, but here we go. So... there's our magnetos are off. So let's do this. We're going to crack our throttle just a little bit. Our supercharger's already at full. We're at high pitch on the prop. Let's get our feet on the pedal. There we go. Now let's get those magnetos turned on. Let's get the battery turned on. Let's get the fuel pump turned on. Let's get the primer. About 8 to 10 seconds. That should be close enough. And then oh no, we still want the fuel pump on. What am I doing? We didn't need the primer on anymore. Okay, so now we're gonna check our mixture. All right, we're good. Here we go. Ready for the starter. So we're gonna flip our starter up. Listen for it. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and stop that. Fuel shut off. Let's turn it on to reserve. To the center position. Let's try that primer again. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now let's try it. Catch it. And we have a good engine start. Oh, we had a good engine start. What happened? We're losing it for something. Did we not prime it long enough? We're on the reserve tank. Let's get our mixture back down. Try priming a little longer, I guess. Oop. Come on, baby. My favorite aircraft in the world. Let's do this. Just damn near, anyway. Now you got to be quick on the catch. All right, here we go. There we go. There she is. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Alright, after start, we want flaps down to 30s. Alright, so the last piece I'm going to show you guys here, at the very least, for... Let's do it on an encoder. Let's try this. This might be a good use for an encoder. On the... Well, trim is such a pain in the butt, though. Let's do the elevator trim on the Bravo, just because, like, it would feel weird not to. Right? So let's do DCS command, browse, trim nose down. Let's put it on the counterclockwise, should be trim nose up. Perfect. Alright, so on these guys for right now, we got the gist here. Just sort of roll it. That's right wing. Degrees. 6 degrees. We could always put this on a flight stick too. But let's power that guy out. What is it? Control C. Let's figure out this last part. Let's slow this plane down. Got to close the canopy at least. Quiet things down a little bit. You have to lock this one? Nope. Oh, I'm sorry. Or is that what? That might be what the red lever's for. Oh no, that blew it off. Guess we're flying open canopy. That's assuming I even get it off the ground, to be honest with you guys, so we'll see. I'm glad this thing has differential braking at least. I am terrified of this thing. I have the worst luck with tail draggers. If you watch any of my Microsoft Flight Simulator videos, you'll know. Alright, here we go. I'm going to do a slow power in. Oh, you know what? Easy. Slowly coming up. Oh my god, I never opened the cowl flaps. Easy, girl. Gear coming up. Whew. I probably should have had the camera back far enough where I could see the damn gauges. Alright, my favorite thing about DCS. Oof, we are sliding. Oh! And he overheats the engine on the first try. On the first try. Come on. Come on. We can salvage it. Easy, easy. No! Oh, come on! Dead sticking it. I had it. It was mine. Well, at least you guys learned how to bind some controls tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are just as excited for Hangar Control DCS Connect to be released. Again, I'm hoping by the end of tomorrow, being February the 4th. If it is delayed, guys, please don't get frustrated. Don't worry, it is coming. I don't want to release it until I know it is ready, and I know that you are going to have as comfortable of a time and as fun of a time as I can with delivered to you by myself. As always, if you guys do end up having any issues, please be sure to join the Discord. It is the fastest way to get a hold of me, plus the community help. You can reach out to me direct on Discord if you have any problems. I will be very responsive after this release and be watching it very, very closely. So I'm here to help. The community is here to help. And as always, folks, stay safe and healthy. Thank you for your love and support, and I'll see you in the next one.